their houses for the families whose houses got destroyed on the streets. So now it's the people who are helping. The government is not doing anything yet. So people depend on themselves to help others.
Journalist Jihan Kahisi on the ground in Beirut.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702.
Car insurance quote from OUTsurance feels like hitting the jackpot. Yes, OUTsurance could either save you money on your car insurance every month, or you can ask for 500 Rand if they can beat your current premium. And if you've been with the same insurer and claim free for 3 years, you can ask them to triple it to 1,500 Rand. Go ahead, SMS out to 38350. That's out to 38350. Or simply call 08600 60,000. Whatever you get out, you'll feel like a winner. OUTsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's and standard rates apply. 50 cents per SMS.
Rolex, Cartier, Patek Philippe, Omega, IWC, Tag Heuer, Breitling, Panerai, Hublot. If you know your luxury watch brands, you'll definitely want to know the Watch Channel. We buy and sell pre-owned luxury watches in perfect condition. So if you have a luxury watch you want to turn into cash or want to invest in a luxury watch at an excellent price, make sure you get to the Watch Channel in Sandton City. Go to thewatchchannel.co.za now for more.
This year, blood could save more lives by treating the world's deadliest pandemic, COVID-19. The South African National Blood Service is leading a groundbreaking convalescent plasma trial to test using the plasma of COVID-19 survivors to treat the virus. Convalescent plasma has been used for over 100 years and was initially used to treat the Spanish flu. To find out how blood could help keep you and your loved ones safe and the answers to all your other questions, join Bongani Bingwa and the SANBS's panel of experts for their webinar on the 6th of August. Register now at 702.co.za. SANBS, your blood saves lives.
This is Eyewitness News.
Good morning, I'm Tara Penny. Pressure is mounting on the South African government to say or do something about the humanitarian crisis unfolding in Zimbabwe. Dozens of activists and protesters have been rounded up and arrested over the past week, while others have been assaulted for trying to stage demonstrations against corruption and economic hardship. President Emmerson Mnangagwa has warned he'll flush out political opponents, and he's blamed foreign forces working with rogue Zimbabweans for the problems in his country. The United Nations has issued an official statement on Zimbabwe calling on those in power to respect human rights. With no statement forthcoming from the South African government, Eyewitness News reached out to the presidency today and was redirected to the International Relations Department. It says the South African government is concerned about Zimbabwe and will help if need be. South Africans are urging President Ramaphosa to say something significant about our neighbour.
Your silence is absolutely deafening. Each day that goes by shows a little bit more of you show a little bit more of yourself.
Mr. AU President of South Africa, sir, you need to get a backbone. You need to start making decisions. And on the Zimbabwean matter, you cannot rule by your quiet diplomacy, having everybody's buy-in.
Protests have again broken out in Hout Bay this morning, resulting in several road closures there. Law enforcement officers remain on the scene. A demonstration broke out over the weekend following an illegal land grab. Hout Bay Ward Councillor Rob Quintus.
Making an area a havoc and a no-go area is going to entice any businesses to open up shop and employ people, but nonetheless that became a new reason for the protest, which is once again, I firmly believe, an excuse to keep attention focused on the main road circle whilst there are land grabs happening on the back end.
The law firm representing more than 100 families affected by the Life of Sedimeni tragedy has threatened to go to court if their clients don't receive compensation money owed to them by government before the end of next week. 144 patients died as a result of the Gauteng Health Department's decision to remove them illegally from proper medical care back in 2016. More than 2 years ago, the Commission of Inquiry into the tragedy, chaired by Dikgang Moseneke, found that government officials acted in breach of the law and the Constitution when they ended the Life of Sedimeni contract and then moved the patients to ill-equipped NGOs. Moseneke also ordered that more than R1 million be paid to each of the families of the victims. However, their attorney, Ulrich Roux, claims some only received half of the payment, while others are still waiting.
Deputy Chief Justice Moseneke was very clear in his award that anyone who has suffered as a result of it can come forward and are entitled to claim the compensation as ordered by him.
But the Gauteng government spokesperson Thabo Masebe says these families were not part of the arbitration process.
The Gauteng government complied with the Justice Moseneke's award. He ordered us to make payment to people who were all listed in the annexures that he provided, and we paid all of the people that he had ordered us to pay within the stipulated time.
And Lebanese rescue teams are searching for missing people in the wreckage caused by a massive warehouse explosion that sent a devastating blast wave across Beirut, killing at least 135. Prime Minister Hassan Diab has declared 3 days of mourning as early investigations blame negligence for the explosion at Beirut port, which injured more than 5,000 people and has left many unaccounted for. Up to 250,000 people were left without homes fit to live in after shockwaves smashed building facades, sucked furniture out into the streets and shattered windows kilometers inland. The death toll is expected to rise from the blast, which officials blamed on a huge stockpile of highly explosive material stored for years in unsafe conditions at the port. The explosion was the most powerful ever in Beirut, a city still scarred by civil war that ended 3 decades ago and reeling from an economic meltdown and a surge in coronavirus infections. The blast rattled buildings on the Mediterranean island of Cyprus, about 160 kilometers away. Gold's at $2,043.04 an ounce. The rand's at 17.47 to the dollar, 22.97 to the pound, 20.69 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $45.29 a barrel.
In the city of Tshwane, there's been an accident on the N1 South. That's after the Garsfontein Road off-ramp slowing down traffic, while in Joburg heading towards Vlakfontein, there's slow-moving traffic on the N1 South after the N12 split in Soweto. There's also slow-moving traffic in Zandspruit. This is on Beyers Naudé between Peter Road and Rockbridge Road due to roadworks.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs of 22 and 24 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour: pressure is mounting on the South African government to say or do something about the humanitarian crisis unfolding in Zimbabwe.
Eyewitness News. In touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.mobi. Keep watching.
Welcome to Assignment on the BBC World Service. I'm Lucy Ash, retelling the story of Albert Camus' world-famous novel, The Plague. 70 years on, his story set in Algeria seems all too relevant.
Everybody was panicking, patients and the staff. We had a terrible time of it, and the numbers are rising every day.
Is COVID-19 a divine punishment?
As far as I'm concerned, it's all a message. It's a message from Allah to believers and to all people to come back to him, to wake up.
But Algerians who took to the streets in their millions demanding political change face other dangers.
According to the Human Rights Organization, there's like 70 people in jail since the pandemic started.
For doing what?
For writing opinion on Facebook, for doing nothing.
That's Algeria's Plague Revisited, coming up on Assignment after the news.
BBC News. Hello, this is Jerry Smith. 3 days of national mourning have begun in Lebanon following Tuesday's catastrophic explosion in Beirut. The French President, Emmanuel Macron, is landing shortly in the city in the first visit by a world leader since the deadly blast. He said he would bring a message of brotherhood and solidarity to the former French protectorate, as well as take stock with the political authorities. The explosion killed at least 137 people, injured thousands, and made hundreds of thousands homeless. As the people of Beirut continue to search for those missing, anger at the failures of Lebanon's political elite has been rising. Abbas al-Halway is a volunteer taking part in the cleanup operation.
I'm 24 years old and I've lived in Lebanon all my life. I've never seen the country destroyed to this extent. We're not organized, but we come together to clean up the country from corruption and from thieves. Today we're carrying brooms, but tomorrow we will pick ourselves up and leave.
Facebook and Twitter have required President Trump's campaign account to take down a video they both said was misleading. It contained an excerpt from an interview with Mr. Trump in which he said that children were almost immune to COVID-19. David Willis reports.
Whilst it has removed content shared by the president's campaign before, this is the first time that Facebook has done so over misinformation relating to the coronavirus. And the move follows pressure from advertisers and members of the company's own staff to moderate political content more rigorously. A spokeswoman for the Trump campaign, Courtney Perella, said the decision to remove the latest post was another display of what she called Silicon Valley's flagrant bias against the president.
The Bank of England says the downturn that's followed the coronavirus pandemic will be less severe than previously forecast, but the recovery will be slower. Our economics correspondent Andy Verity has the details.
The bank now estimates the total amount of goods and services produced, or gross domestic product, will have dropped by 20% in the second quarter of the year. After recovering some ground in the second half of 2020, it expects the economy to be 9.5% smaller by the end of this year than it was in 2019, with unemployment peaking at 7.5%. However, it doesn't expect activity to get back to pre-COVID levels until the end of next year.
A ceremony has been held in the Japanese city of Hiroshima to mark the 75th anniversary of the world's first atomic bomb attack. Participants, many of them dressed in black and wearing face masks, offered a silent prayer at the time the weapon was dropped on the city. Hiroshima's mayor then spoke out against nationalism and urged more international cooperation to face global threats like the COVID-19 pandemic. World news from the BBC. Officials in Western India say at least 8 COVID patients have died in a fire that broke out in the intensive ward of a private hospital in Ahmedabad. Emergency services said the blaze started after an employee's personal protection kit caught fire and it spread rapidly. Around 40 patients were rescued. A study by the United Nations in Turkey has found that the coronavirus pandemic has seen some men increase the amount of unpaid work they do around the house by more than 5 times. But, as Danny Eberhard reports, the burden has fallen more heavily on women.
The findings follow a nationwide survey conducted in May while Turkey was still in full lockdown. The UN says it registered unprecedented changes in men doing unpaid work, including things like childcare, with schools closed. For employed men who worked from home, it increased more than 5 times. But the average figure for men is still just over an hour a day. For Turkish women, it's 4 times that. Overall, it believes, the coronavirus crisis has widened the gender gap, not shrunk it.
Counting is underway in Sri Lanka's parliamentary election, which President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's party is widely expected to win, cementing his grip on power. The Election Commission said the first results were expected late in the afternoon, with the final tally coming around midnight. Turnout was as high as 70%, despite fears of coronavirus. Mr. Rajapaksa is hoping to install his elder brother Mahinda as Prime Minister. The world's biggest car maker, the Japanese company Toyota, has seen its quarterly profits nearly wiped out as a result of the coronavirus crisis. Operating profits dropped 98% in the period from April to June. The pandemic halved its global sales. BBC News.
I'm Lucy Ash, and this is Assignment on the BBC World.